Hold on this. Okay, so firstly, thank you all for being here. First, I want to ensure you, Curtis, you said you're on the front lines of this situation. And I just want to ensure that you all are protecting your mental health, taking time away from social media, taking time away from the news. It's not wrong to step away. It's not wrong to pull yourself back into yourself and to allow the world to continue while you heal from all of this. We are all of us are in this together, that we're all fighting for Israel together. It's been a tough week. It will be a tough couple of months. But that's what I want you to bear in mind. You can't help Israel if your mental health is not good. Protect your mental health, you and every pastor in this country who's on the front lines of fighting for Israel. I sent you all the agenda, so we'll move on to the next point. I just want to give a brief overview of what's happening. Today is October 14th, 2023. We're exactly 1 week since the attacks on October 7th. This is the largest number of Jewish deaths since the Holocaust. At current time, it's confirmed that 1,300 are dead. This is also the first time since 2006 that Israel is in war, and this is actually the first time that Israel has declared war on Hamas. It's an incredibly unique and new situation for Israel. Having been involved in pro-Israel spaces for many years, I know that the tides of support change very quickly, and they are changing very quickly. The support that we saw on Sunday, on Monday, is being eroded away. It's important that all Christian leaders, Christian lay people understand the context, which I hope this session could teach a bit on, to understand how to counter some of the arguments, but also to give us tools on how we could move forward. One of the difficult things for us to realize is that the situation that precipitated the Holocaust is exactly the situation as exists today. People justified why Jews should be rounded up and killed before the Holocaust. People who were supposedly innocent bystanders sat quietly and allowed trains of Jews, 1/3 of the world's Jewish population, to be sent to death camps, to be shot in fields, to be starved, to be mutilated, to be experimented on. What Hamas is doing is exactly what the Nazis did. And any person who is quiet in this moment or is feeding into Hamas propaganda is doing the same as the average German did in World War II. It is almost eerily exactly the same situation. It's a global call for genocide against Jews. I'm sure you all are aware, yesterday Hamas designated it a day of global jihad, a day of global genocide, and that Jews should be attacked all around the world. Jewish businesses are being marked with the most awful graffiti. Synagogues are being targeted. This is exactly how it was in World War II and before the lead up to the Holocaust. People are being desensitized to Jewish lives dying. And we need to be aware of that, and we need to care about that. I'll move on to the next point on the agenda. What Israel needs now. Earlier this week, I reached out to a number of pastors, and we were trying to put together a sort of collection that we could take and send to Israel. As it stands, the pastors I'm in touch with and the volunteers we have in our organization, we're way too small to facilitate that. Thankfully, though, I'm happy to update you, Israel has received everything it needs in terms of actual tangible supplies, but it still does need money. It needs donations. On our website, I've put up a number of different sites that you can go to. You can go to Jafina, which is the Jewish Agency for Israel in North America. They're coordinating a lot of support and coordinating donations from the evangelical communities in the US. And one thing I want you to know, I know many people are very concerned about when they give money, how much of that money is reaching to Israel. The Jewish Agency, which is the overall agency for Jafina, Jewish Agency for Israel in North America, the Jewish Agency is a quasi-governmental organization, which means that it does not take any charity to sustain its workings. Every dollar, every cent you send to Jafina goes directly to the people who need it. Furthermore, there are other sites. Magen David Adom is Israel's Red Cross. That's MAGNDAVIDADOM. You can search them online. They're in desperate need of assistance right now. Please note that 300,000 Israeli soldiers have been called up. Many, many have been injured as a result of what happened on Saturday last. Many more are going to be injured. The Magen David Adom needs support. Those are two organizations I mentioned. A third one, take note, is jgive.com. I know some people who have gone on there, ran into some trouble because it's in Hebrew. I think they've sorted the site. It's in English. Jgive.com helps displaced people. Many, many thousands have been displaced from the south. Many are going to be displaced from the north in Israel. So that's where that money goes to. And the fourth one is Howard Mandel. Kobe Mandel. Howard Mandel is a comedian. Kobe Mandel, KOBYMANDELL. You can search them online, the Kobe Mandel Foundation. They give money to victims of terror, the family of victims of terror, and soldiers. So those are the four ways in which we can tangibly give and support Israel right now. I hope that you find this necessary. It's not to say that Israel is not going to ask for supplies. So I did speak to Rachel and some other pastors over the week. We need to start building a method for us to be able to send things when that time comes. Right now, though, they don't need it. So let's give if we could. I know that many of us want to help. I'm very careful now in what I want to say. If churches can, and if they feel compelled to take up love offerings for Israel, again, you can give those offerings to the sites that I just explained to you. You can also contact me directly at understanding-israel.com. You can find all our information there and you can write to me because if there are certain specific things you want to give to, like helping the elderly, I can help you connect those love offerings. So that's something I just wanted to throw out. Especially Rachel, as I know I thought tomorrow would be an in-person session for the day of prayer that you and the ICEJ is putting together, but you just informed me that it's a Zoom session. So, you know, if churches want to have special services on their own and collect love offerings and send to Israel, please feel free to do that. Every cent counts in this moment. People are on the ground helping. So many Israelis, so many Jews around the world have united to help Israel right now that a lot of money is needed because a lot of people have been affected by the war and are out of work, and volunteers have put their professional lives on hold to assist. So again, we are not taking any money directly. This is not coming to Understanding Israel. I'm leading you to the sources, the resources where you can give to really make a difference, right? I did have an idea of trying to put a vigil together. However, the safety of our people is really of paramount importance. What I would like to suggest, and I would like if the pastors who are seeing this after we've recorded it could help coordinate, not a vigil, but if we could light 1,300 candles somewhere in Port of Spain to show our solidarity. I understand that there are other organizations which are against Israel, which have mobilized and are going out to march in support of Hamas. I don't want our people, anybody who's pro-Israel, to be put in harm's way because this is a very emotive situation and emotions are running high. So if we could do it very quietly, go to somewhere, light the candles in memory of the 1,300 who have died. That's the figure that we last had. The Christian community in the US is very mobilized. They gave, as of Wednesday, $700,000 was given to Jafina by the Christian evangelical community in the US. I know we are a tiny, tiny population in Trinidad, right? We're 1.3 million. The evangelical community is 12 to 22% of the population. I can't tell you guys how to give, but I'm impressing upon you the importance of giving right now. Rachel, Curtis, to the other pastors who are listening, post this recording, please get in touch with me for putting together an effort to get the candles together. Maybe we need about 4 or 5 people, maybe 10 people to just go quickly, light the candles, and leave. We need to honor the fallen. They went through some really, really barbaric moments, and that's me understating what happened, and I don't want to rehash all of it. But the victims who died went through a lot, and their lives deserve memory. Their lives deserve honoring by those of us who feel for them and who understand what they went through. So just touching base on that again. How else can pastors help? This is the crux of this meeting. This is really what we want to get to. And there are a number of things that you can do. As pastors, you have a lot of influence. I know not all of you are congregation pastors with congregations where you can preach to them, but for those of you who are, I can't tell you how to craft your sermons. Let your spirit lead you. And if you feel compelled to educate on Israel, to use whatever readings you're using this week to tie it back into Israel, do so. You are in a very, very, very powerful position as you stand at your pulpits, as you speak to your congregations. People are uncertain about how to move forward with this. Pro-Israel people are uncertain about how to move forward. It's the responsibility of every pastor to stand for Israel, to educate their people, and to direct their people on how to help. That's one important way in which all pastors can help. Pastors, reverends, I know there are a number of different working titles in the community, so I'm just using the term pastor as an overarching term to encompass all of the Christian leaders. Perhaps I should use Christian leaders. So that's one way you could really, really make a difference. Secondly, in your capacity as church leaders, you can start making calls to your members of parliament. Call the government officials you know. Call the secretaries you know in ministries. Start writing to the newspapers. Show an overwhelming, you know what? Not show an overwhelming. Overwhelm the newspapers, overwhelm the government with support for Israel. You can do that by writing letters, by finding numbers, by calling them. That's what we need to do in this moment. Trinidad and Tobago has taken no stance on this situation. Perhaps that's a good thing, because silence does not necessarily mean that they're siding with Hamas, but at the same time, CARICOM did issue a statement which is decisively anti-Israel. And CARICOM represents Trinidad and Tobago, and if you think that Trinidad and Tobago should be on the side of Israel, use your voice. These are tangible ways you can make a difference. Write the papers, call the papers, inundate the newspapers with calls to the editors. I want to the TV stations. I want to see you covering this. I want to see you giving me a voice. That's another way you can do. So 1, your sermons. 2, writing to government officials. 3, the newspapers. 4, social media. Please don't share things which are not vetted. Make sure what you're sharing is actually reliable, relevant, and truthful, but share. Use your social media platforms to broadcast what's happening. If your churches don't currently have streaming services for your sermons, try to get that sorted. Very simply, get someone to hold a phone and record you while you talk in support of Israel. Stream it to your social media pages. Create social media pages if you don't have, right? Many times Christians are able to host crusades. I don't know the logistics behind that. That's just an idea I had. I just want to throw that out to you. If the pastors can come together and hold a crusade, again, your safety is of paramount importance, and this is a very emotional time we're living in. So consider the safety, your safety, the safety of your people as if you decide to go ahead with something like that. Education on Israel is incredibly important, and I know that many pastors do not have the relevant information and the relevant knowledge to be able to argue effectively for Israel. We at Understanding Israel are trying to put together a seminar, 3-day seminar. Sadly, this situation has come forward, so we're putting that on hold right now, but we are sharing information on our social media. That's facebook.com/Understanding Israel TT, and on Instagram, instagram.com/Understanding Israel TT. So we're sending out also newsletters. If you haven't joined up as a member, join up. You can go to understanding-israel.com to sign up as a member, and we're sending out information. Now, you don't need we're not in a place where any pastor could attend a seminar right now. We are also not in a place where we can host a seminar. So how are you going to get information? There are two main sites, because I don't want to overwhelm you with information here as well, right? But there are two main sites where you can go to get relevant, vetted, accurate information. One is Stand With Us. You can just Google that. It's a pro-Israel website and social media arm where they share very, very good information. And if you want some more in-depth knowledge, you can visit the Anti-Defamation League, which is the ADL. They stand against anti-Semitism around the world. They were built on that premise. They're an enormous organization in the US, and they have a lot of solid information that will help educate all pastors about what is happening in Israel, about anti-Semitism, and about how to educate yourselves and educate your people. We are working on some partnerships, which I will get and send out in newsletters and notify our pastors about next week when it comes to education. You know, the prayer is important. It's very, very important. But the things I outlined to you, we have to pull those things in conjunction with the prayer, because there is from the Christian Bible, it says faith. Rachel, you can jump in and tell me if I'm saying it wrong, but faith without works is dead. We have to marry the two together. And I know that many of you want to help, you just don't know how to help. So I hope that this information can start getting the ball rolling with how you could help. Let's start talking more. We need to come together and be coordinated. The Jamaican evangelical community did come together, and they sent some money. I think it was to Magen David Odom or someone, as a coordinated effort. Trinidad and Tobago, we have many, I don't even know how many thousands of small churches and large churches throughout the country. Now is the time where we need to come together, work together as one cohesive unit. Because as I mentioned, the IDF, yes, does not need things right now, but the time is going to come in the future where they're going to be asking for supplies. We need to get together that we could spearhead an effort to send things to them. Another thing I want to mention, and I think is important for all of us as individuals, is to not misconstrue what this war in Israel is. The war is not against Muslims. The war is not against Palestinians. The war is against Hamas, a terrorist organization which has gone in, brutally massacred 1,300 Jews, brutally raped people, and kidnapped women, old people, sick people, babies, and have them in Gaza. We do not know if these people are alive or dead. We don't know what is their condition, if they're tortured, if they're safe. We don't know. Israel going into Gaza is to fight against Hamas, to dismantle Hamas so that Hamas cannot ever do something like this again. And I underline, this is not a fight against Muslims or Palestinians. This is not a place where you need to feel compelled to hate Muslims or Palestinians. We cannot allow Hamas and their hatred to taint us into hating other people. As Christian leaders, you're called to love. And we know that there's a time to fight, because you cannot sit down and let people take your children, take your wife, because as a pastor, you have to defend. Sometimes you'll have to fight. And this is a moment where Israel has to fight. But it's not fighting out of hate. The IDF has been very, very clear that this is not a retaliatory war. They are moving in with morality. They're trying to preserve civilian lives. That's something for us to bear in mind, that the IDF is trying its best to minimize casualties. Hamas is keeping their people in harm's way. They do have an ideology that we do not understand, an ideology which stands in direct contrast to what Christianity and Judaism teaches, which is the importance of life. In Hamas doctrine, life is secondary, death is foremost. So don't allow them to taint your soul with hatred. Understand that this is not against Muslims, this is not against Palestinians. And we know that there are Muslims and Palestinians who may side with Hamas. That's their own miseducation. And we hope that we could reach out to them with knowledge and understanding. For the pastors who are connected to Understanding Israel and who are currently in our group, I do want to share our training manual. For many of you who have been there for the past couple of months, you probably have already become familiar with our training manual and who we are. But I want to send that out to the pastors who are currently involved because I think it's important for you to understand what Understanding Israel is. We are a pro-Israel organization. That does not make us anti-Palestinian or anti-Muslim. We do pray for peace. We are an organization founded on peace. We support the two-state process. We see that as the only way forward, particularly since it is the endorsed solution by Israel right now. If that changes, we'll have to shift gears. I don't know what the solution could be other than a two-state solution, but that is how it stands right now. I'd also like us, in our capacity as pastors, to reach out to each other. If you want to come into Understanding Israel's informal WhatsApp group, feel free to come in. Understand that our WhatsApp group is not a religious group. It's meant to share information about Israel, to give tools on how to advocate for Israel, and to help build Understanding Israel's mission to bridge Israel and Trinidad and Tobago. For many of you pastors, the work is on you now to get yourselves together. I know it's a hard road forward. You're dealing with your own everyday concerns as pastors, putting together sermons, dealing with helping the sick, praying for those who are going through troubles in your own congregations, and you're taking on a lot. And from Understanding Israel Foundation, we really, really appreciate you for doing what you're doing. I hope that this session has given you some clarity on moving forward and how you can make tangible efforts to help. And Christian leaders are not the only ones we're calling on. We need the person who's sitting in her home, who's watching TBN, who's crying tears and wants to help Israel. We need everyone on board. And I'll shift focus a little bit to talk about Understanding Israel. Our mission is to bridge Israel and Trinidad and Tobago. We want to see Trinidad and Tobago take a pro-Israel stance. We've only been in operations in a very small capacity since the 1st of June. We have not been able to change the government's stance. Not that the government has taken a stance, but if we were bigger, we would have been able to get a response and to help craft a response that would be in support of Israel. Earlier this week, the Israeli ambassador to Trinidad and Tobago, Itai Bardov, he is not a resident ambassador. He lives in Panama. He gave an interview to a local news outlet, and you could tangibly hear the hurt in his voice that CARICOM has come so steadfastly against Israel. We need to support Israel, and it's more than prayer, and we appreciate the prayer, but it's a lot of boots on the ground, a lot of hard work. And I appreciate all the pastors who have taken the time to join Understanding Israel, to join as members, but I issue the call to you to get more people in. Had we been bigger at this moment, we could have affected some real governmental change. We're tiny. We're 1.3 million people. Let's get as many people on board as possible. Trinidad and Tobago needs to stand with Israel. In being silent, we are cursing Israel. And every Christian being silent, I'm sad to say, we're also cursing Israel. We need to stand up. And blessing Israel, what does that mean? Does that mean just sitting and praying for Israel? No, it means getting on the ground and doing something for Israel. I just want to end with a little bit of hope, because it's been a terrible week for Israel. It's been a terrible week for the Jewish people. But I can tell you that people have been coming together. People have been unifying. People have been working together to meet the needs on the ground. I know many individuals who have, as I mentioned earlier, stopped working. They've gone into volunteer spaces. I know people who are giving the coats off their backs to soldiers. There are people soldiers who are not being called up but are volunteering by the thousands to go forth. And know that the army, the IDF, is not just people with machine guns. It also takes a lot of administrative behind the scenes work, a lot of cooking, a lot of logistics, a lot goes on behind the scenes beyond just fighting. And a lot of people have given their lives, put their lives on hold to help the situation. A lot of people have joined many other organizations to help the cleanup and the rebuilding now. One of those organizations is called Zaka, and Zaka went in and they basically deal with the dead bodies, the dead parts. And there are just general people who've not encountered death on this level who've joined Zaka right now and are very much overwhelmed and traumatized, but they're coming together. People are doing what they need to do. And that's something, a message of hope I want to leave with you all, is that it's been thousands of years of Jewish existence, and it's been thousands of years of attacks. There'll probably be more after this, sadly, but the Jewish people survive. In Hebrew, we say, Am Yisrael Chai, people of Israel live, and they continue to live. And there are many heartwarming stories coming out of people trying to find joy, trying to create joy out of this tragedy. People are getting married. People are bar mitzvahing their children. People are coming together. And I just want to leave that last message of hope to you guys. I thank you dearly from the bottom of my heart for your support for Israel. Continue to support Israel. Continue to advocate for Israel, and we will continue to give you the tools necessary to do so. Reach out to us. That's what we're here for. We're here to support you in your ministries and in your efforts to support Israel. I thank you all for joining. I'll end this now. Please feel free to share this to as many people as you could. Thank you all so much.